the implementation of this LMS. I'm going to record this meeting, so by the fact that I've communicated with you, it's a consent, and I'm sure AFREhealth will be recording as well. So as we can see clearly, we're going to go through the use of the AFREhealth Learning Management System, and it's titled Moodle Fundamentals 1. This webinar is divided into two. We have one on today, 27th, then we have a second one on 29th, but each will split it into 60 minutes. So today we are going to cover the first part of these fundamentals of Moodle, and basically it's to provide participants with the basics of managing a course on the AFREhealth Management System. And I'm sure many of us, if not all of us, have heard about the AFREhealth Learning Management System, and some of us have participated in the pilot. So it's not going to be purely something new, but we have Tony here to take us through the magic on how to introduce us the teaching and the learning tools that we need to know, that we need to use on the platform, and then also illustrate how you can engage learners and monitor their participation. But before Tony comes in, I'm going to request AFREhealth Secretariat to place a poll. There's a poll that we are all expected to respond to, and then we'll share feedback. So you can just see on your screen, just select the answers, and giving, actually, it's taking less than a minute. So let's try to be so fast. Let's try to be as fast as possible. It will be ending soon. Okay. Wow, great. You can see 40% have voted. This is just to check our knowledge about what we're going to learn, and maybe help Tony to cascade it more and provide a targeted way of delivering this. Okay, 1 minute is done. I'm adding 30 seconds. You can see 70% have already responded. Okay, we are stuck at 70%. Thanks for those who have responded. Those who have not, please just respond with a yes or no. It is simple, as you can see. And at the end, we'll have a poll that is almost related to this. We'll request that you be frank, because this will guide us on how to improve the LMS and to make it better, and also on improving your knowledge on Moodle. So 74% response, I think we can go with that. We've knocked 2 minutes, and I wish to end the poll. I've also shared the results. We have Joshua Simbi, who is from Makerere, the social media specialist and online digital content. He will help us capture these details. Otherwise, I don't want to waste any time. And at this juncture, I wish to invite Tony to take us through the Moodle Fundamentals 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Shardrack. Let me share my screen. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me share my screen. Share screen. I think this is the one. Run this. Okay. Good afternoon from East Africa. I'm not very sure about the time zones in the other areas, but I would like to welcome you to this webinar. My name is Tony Oluka. Like Shardrack has introduced me, I am an expert in e-learning, especially with Moodle technology, and I work in Makerere University in the Director of ICT support. And to make the best use of your time, we are going to go through particular issues that will fast track your learning of Moodle. We're going to understand what the learning management system is. We'll learn how to navigate through Moodle, set up and manage the course. We'll upload some resources to the LMS. We'll learn about how we group students, and then how we setting up some activities in Moodle. Webinar 2 will deal with, because I know most of you may want to know, how do we do quizzes, how do we do lessons, assignments, a couple of other activities that need some more time, communication tools. These will be done in the second webinar. So I believe the second webinar is going to be very interesting. We'll start with a little bit of a theory, then we'll go into a practical. I know very many of you do not have access to editing the current AFREhealth Learning Management Systems, but I will share with you some of the sites that are available on the internet that give you an hour or two to practice, and that will give you an opportunity to learn some of the activities and some of the tasks that I will share today. Well, when we talk about learning management systems, I know very many of you come up saying we have what are e-learning systems, what are virtual learning management systems, what are course management systems. They practically all stand for the same thing. It's really an area that provides you with an environment to create courseware and also support tutoring over the internet. For practice purposes, hello. For practice purposes, I would recommend that you take down those two sites. That is school.moodle.demo.net. This just gives you a demonstration. They will show you, they will give you a username and password, and you can go in and practice. The other is learnmoodle.org. These resources will be very helpful for you if you want to take your Moodle from one level to another. Well, I'll just give you the basics. We'll just start with the basic navigation, how to do password recovery, what a dashboard is, a bit of the terminologies that are used in Moodle. But this is going to be practical, so I am going to stop sharing the PowerPoint presentation, which will be provided, and go into the exact details of the webinar. So I'll stop sharing this and then share the actual platform. Okay, so let me share the platform. Okay, let's go in. Sharing the platform now. I am very sure most of you have accessed the learn.AFREhealth Learning Management System, which is accessed at that particular URL, which is learn.afrehealth.org. That is the first screen that you will always get, and it needs a username and password. And I already have an account here, so I will just log in. So once I log in, we land on the first page. Moodle has this first page that we land on called the dashboard. It is the page that provides you with all the courses that you enrolled for and all the available courses, right? Moodle has what we call blocks, and the dashboard is this environment. It's basically your homepage where you land and say, this is where I'm getting into. The couple of icons that you can see on the top, if I'm just to share one, this particular icon is really for notifications. This is for messages, and we look at all these details when we reach the communication section in Moodle 2. All right. And Right now, I'm enrolled to the 3 courses that you can see above. Some of you may not have access to this, but I've provided you those 2 URLs that can help you, get an environment to practice. So I'll go straight away to the Stripe course. Okay. Now, Moodle organizes courses in different categories. I would like to share with you a shell that has just been created that has no material completely that we shall be able to populate. If you look at my screen right now, this is what we'd call a course shell. There is no activity, there is no resource, there is nothing available, right? And we'll use a bit of this to learn some of the details of how we can make edits on this platform. But before we go far, I would like to share that Moodle has particular types of roles, all right? There's what we call the systems administrator. That is the topmost user who has the most power on the platform, on any Moodle platform. Then we have the managers. The managers are less of an administrator. Then we have the course creators, the ones that create the shell that you've seen. And then it comes to us, the teachers, the facilitators, okay? The facilitator is called the teacher on Moodle. Then the other role is non-editing teacher. The non-editing teacher can grade courses but cannot edit them. He can, support the teaching but cannot add new material. And then the basic user is really the student, the one who enrolls and participate in the course activities. So if I'm to use the other site for demonstration purposes, this is what an open course looks like on Moodle. When a shell has been created, there's nothing totally available. There's no chat, there's no discussion, there's nothing. It is just a shell. And I would want us to go through the process of looking through this shell and then editing it and updating it and seeing how we can put materials and resources on Moodle. One thing I want to share, there are 2 main resources. There are 2 main things that you can do with Moodle. One is provide resources. 2 is provide activities. Resources are quite open. You're talking about a file, you're talking about a folder, that's a resource. Then when we talk about activities, we are talking about things that bring in interaction, like a quiz, like a forum, like a chat. These bring in interaction among us, the learners. So one of the most powerful things about using this platform, Moodle, is that once you turn editing on, you transform this web page into your learning environment, your workspace, okay? And we'll start off by and we say turn editing on is a privilege that is only given to the teachers, the managers, site administrators. Non-editing teachers will not be able to do turn editing on. So this is one of the most important areas that we need to put into, to have grasp on. So if I turn editing on, you will look at how the site turns out to be, all right? I am using this particular section to illustrate how we can do manipulation of our course. To begin with, when you look at this, now the environment has changed. We have pencils, we have the plus sign. That means we are now in a working environment. When you're done with working on your platform, when you're done with adding material in the platform and resources, then you just turn editing off. So turn editing on is you going to work now to make changes to your course. And I'll begin by just sharing that if I was to change topic 1, I don't like the idea of topic 1. I probably want to call it introduction to Moodle. I would simply enter that and press enter. And that has changed. So that is my first area, okay? Now, like I've said, the two main things that you need to know is what activity you want to use on Moodle and what resource you want to put on Moodle. So going further, I am going to show you how do we add activities, how do we manipulate, how do we make changes, how do I add an image, how do I add a video to my platform, all right? And I know some of you who are already course coordinators, when you look at the current AFREhealth platform, the turn editing on button is up here. You may not get it this side. So for those of you that will be making changes, your turn editing on will be on your top left corner. And when you click it, the environment starts to look like the current one that I'm sharing to demonstrate. The reason I'm sharing an open course is because when we're training Moodle, when you introduce people to already completed setup course, it becomes complicated for participants to get interest and start doing something from scratch. But this gives you an opportunity to show you that we can actually build a course from zero. Now, if we are to add an activity, if I wanted to add a resource to section, because every part of the Moodle course is a section. This is a section for announcements and the header. That is a section for introduction. That's a section for topic. And these are not cast in stone. When you want to make changes, when you're managing your course, when you want to make changes, for example, you wanted to add a new topic, a new section, all you do is we have this gear icon, which has settings. Now, when you click the settings of the course, it provides you with all that was put up in place. And this is very important for the facilitators because, very importantly, you'll need to make a change on your course start date and course end date. You may want to change the naming, the role naming, and say in this course, a course creator, a teacher is actually a facilitator. So there are a couple of areas that we need to that you can make changes on, all right? And remember, whenever you make any changes, please always remember to save and display. When you save and display, it takes you back to your working environment. Now, going further, we will now look at adding one resource. For example, if I wanted to add a file, all I would do is click add an activity or resource. When I select add an activity or resource, there are three sections: starred, all activities and resources. Starred just means these are the ones I prefer using, and I'll show you how you do that. All means those activities and resources. But when we come to individual, we have resources and activities. So if we start with resources, if I want to upload a file, all I do is click add activity or resource, look for resources, select a file. It tells me name the file. I'll probably say presentation on Moodle. Okay. And then I can either drag and drop the file here, but for learning purposes, I always like to take you through the longer process, which is, click and then upload your file, browse for your file. So I'll look for my file. Once I've picked my file, let's say I pick any file in my documents. Okay, I say open the file and then I say upload the file. Once again, remember to save and return to the course. I have my file already uploaded there. Okay, now one thing that I want us to take very importantly is that in Moodle, whenever you add any resource or any activity, it comes with its own settings. It's like having spare parts, and every spare part has its own manual. For example, right now I've added a file. That means that file has come with its own settings. And if I want to make any changes to whatever I've added on the Moodle platform, I will always look for that item like this file, and I'd have this section that says edit, and I would go back to edit settings. This will apply to everything in Moodle, including blocks, including activities, including all the resources. Everything that you add on the platform will always come with settings that you can go back and revise or make changes to. That is one example of a resource. If I wanted, for example, we have these manuals and you want to provide materials to learners in a folder, you want to group them, we could add a folder which is under resources, because a folder doesn't really need any interaction between you and the learners. So I would select folder. I'll say probably these are Ministry of Health guidelines. Ministry of Health guidelines. I have room here to upload my files. So I can choose and say, let me pick some more files from downloads. I'll pick the same file, the calendar, open. This is all just dummy data for learning purposes. And then remember to save and return to course. Now that is a folder. And again, when you're building your material, it's always good for you to once in a while turn the editing off and look at how your course would look like. All right. So in a nutshell, it is important that for you to be able to make any changes, one, you need to have to make any changes or modifications on your course on Moodle, is that one, you need to have the right privileges or roles and permissions. Then your next step would be, once the shell is up, you turn editing on. That puts you into an editing mode, just like the word turn editing on would sound. And then you have activities and resources. Now, in case you have moved your resources to the wrong place, I know very many of you will ask, what does the cross stand for? The cross allows you to move your material across the module. So for example, if I wanted that to be above, I would just maybe drag, let's say, to topic 2 and say, change this to say guidelines, to say maybe teaching resources. Okay, so once we are done with that, we can turn editing off for you to be able to visualize and see how your course would look like, right? Then I'll turn editing back on. And like I said, everything you add, we added a folder. That means a folder will come with its own settings. If I clicked on settings, then I can look at what settings are available for a folder resource. Okay, so you'll see, do I want to restrict access to it? Do I want for someone to have completed it? Do I want someone to do something? So because of the short time we have for our first webinar and our second webinar, I will leave some of these details for you to practice. Okay, so I'll just save and return. So when you look at what resources we have other resources that I may not go into details. For example, we have, we've done a folder, we've done a file, there is a book, there is a URL, IMS content package, label, and a page. So I will do one more resource, then switch to activities, and then share a bit of what process you take to enroll learners to your course after you have set up your course and you have all your materials available. So someone would ask, what is a label? A label, like it sounds, is just something that you can use to send information across. For example, if I selected this resource, I have not yet touched activities, we're still looking at resources. If I looked at this resource called label, I could say, these are learning objectives. It's just a label, like we said. Now, One of the beautiful things about Moodle is that Moodle provides you with a word-like looking editor, okay? There is an arrow here that I'm pointing at right now that if you clicked would give you all the other available resources where you can, you can do bolding, you can do, numbering. I could say my objective one is to learn navigation of Moodle. Objective 2, I could, take this back from bold back to normal. Then remember, save and return to course. Something that you should notice is that every section of Moodle will always have add an activity or resource. This is for the beginning section. This is for introduction, the teaching material, teaching resources. There is add an activity, topic 3 that I've not yet named. There is add activity. So every section will always have add an activity or resource. But if you add an activity or resource in an area that you don't want it to, you can always just drag it and drop it to the area that you prefer to go to the right area. So it really doesn't matter so much, you can still manipulate. Now, we can also use a label to add images, right? Like I shared, I added this label which just says learning objectives. If I decided to make some changes to it, all I know is look for the gear icon for that particular resource, click the gear icon, and it will provide me with the same settings like before. I could now come and make changes. I could say I would like to, let me just use a different label just to upload an image. So I could come to a section, let's say introduction, and I said, let me add a label that is a resource. We've not yet touched activities. And I hope that we can go back after today's webinar knowing the two things, that we have activities and we have resources. Activities require interaction. Resources are just available to provide information. So I'll pick resources, I'll pick a label. Okay. In the label here, when you look at this editor, which is a very familiar editor to very many of you, I could decide and say, if you put your mouse over each of these icons, they will be able to tell you what that actually does. For example, if I wanted to insert an image, all I would do is come click here. Then I have to browse for my image and look for my particular image. Okay. I'll pick that, probably that's a 50,000 Ugandan shillings note, and then say upload. They normally will ask you to put a, some narrative, just an alternative narrative. I could just say this is money, Ugandan money, UGX. All right, and then I'd save the image. Remember the label, I need to save and return. So that is how we upload images, all right, using a label. We can use a label to upload a video. And the same thing, would do the same thing, we just click that, go to resources, pick a label. And then we will be able to use this icon that says insert image or audio, right? I would also expect that after this first webinar that you would find time and go to those demo sites, and you will be able to, most of the demo sites will give you an hour's time to, to create a course and be able to make your modifications and manipulations. I am not going to go into the other resources. I would like to dive into some of the activities that we will also need to do when we're creating a course. Remember, we are building this course from scratch. You want to say the shell was provided to you. Then you decided you needed the introduction section. And when I switch you back to the AFREhealth Learning Management Systems, everything there will now start to look like something that they started from scratch. It was not just downloaded from somewhere and uploaded. So activities. I said activities these give an opportunity for interaction between the learners, between learners and learners, and between learners and facilitators or teachers. There are quite a number of activities. I am seeing we have assignment, we have chat, we have choice, we installed the custom activity called custom certificate, this database, this feedback, which we use for surveys, we have forums, very helpful. We have lessons, which I'm going to talk about in webinar 2 of Moodle Fundamentals. We have survey, also very good for doing, we have workshop. Survey is also very good, for getting information from your learners or from facilitators. So for today's purposes, I am going to share how we would set up a chat, a forum, and probably an assignment. I would like to also keep 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the webinar to share with you, to answer some of the questions that could have been raised in the chat. But something that I know very many of you will ask, where do we get information about, how do they use an assignment? Something I should have shared much earlier is that if you look at every activity, there is always something that's an icon of an eye, information. When you click the eye, it provides you all the details that you need to know about that particular activity or resource. And this happens both, sorry about that, this happens both for activities and resources. For example, if I wanted to know what can I use a label for, I would click the eye icon, which is information, and I'll be told this is what I can use a label for. Okay, so we will start by adding, we'll add a chat as our first activity. A chat is really a tool, a learning tool or teaching tool that gives you this synchronous teaching where someone has to be online to be able to chat. You cannot chat when you're offline, all right? And this is live. This would be very good for if you're running a course of a period of a week and learners want to share something, just send someone a message, you could use a chat. So likewise, I will just go to my activities, select my chat. It will tell me name this chat room, and I'll call this probably class chat room. I'll call this maybe the class chat room. Description, I'd probably say use this to chat with the learners, with your fellow learners. And then, like I said, there are many settings that I do not want to go into the details. So I will just save and return. And I should have my chat somewhere. I have my class chat room here. Remember, it comes, everything I add, everything you add on Moodle will come with its own settings. If I want to make restrictions or put some settings, if someone asks, can a new person see the old chats? All that will be done here. You come back and say, edit settings, and you'll still go back to your settings, look for what you want to make changes to, and save and return. So basically, your course will have activities and resources. So if we are to look at adding another, most people ask, what is a chat? A chat is basically, if we look at it like a WhatsApp chat, it is basically a group. If you said all members that are participating in the course should be part of the chat room, then you enroll all of them so that everybody gets notifications about the chat. I will add another activity. The activity I'm going to add right now is going to be a discussion forum. I know we may be asking, why is it picking particular resources and activities? Is that I am picking most of the resources that were used to build the AFREhealth Stripe online modules. You'll get forums there, you'll get labels, you'll get chat rooms, you'll get quizzes, which we'll deal with in webinar 2. So Once I come back to my forum here, I'll say, what is this forum? I'll probably say, introduce yourself. And probably put here some, you know, some notifications telling learners probably, please post something about yourself on this forum. I am not going to go into details of the type of forums, but we have very many forums. It's a simple, single discussion. And when you, everywhere you see the I and the question mark, there is help. They will tell you what a single, simple discussion forum does. They will tell you all, they'll give you help on all the different options that you have. You have each person posts one discussion. You have a question and answer forum, but I'll keep mine to standard forum for general use. You could restrict when your forum is available for discussion. You could say probably we want you to discuss after 3 days on the platform. You could restrict the number of the attachments or word count. And like I said, we are not able to address all these particular parameters, but nothing is cast in stone. When you want to make a change to your particular forum, all you will do is come back to your particular forum and click on the gear icon, which is really edit the settings. The other parameters that you will see here will be hide. You can actually hide an activity or a resource. You could duplicate it. You can delete it. So there's so much you can do. All you need to do is that everything to do with this particular forum, all right, will be under its settings. Okay, so we have done one activity called classroom, a chat. We've done another activity called a forum. The details on how you use the forum will be shared, because forum is really an environment for, for participants, just like a forum, for participants, to send in their opinions and to send in their opinions and also disagree, share with the participants. Basically, build interactivity amongst the learners and also amongst the learner and the facilitator. So I will, for purposes of practice, I will probably add one more activity, which will be assignment. An assignment, I'll spend much more time on it because it needs a bit of understanding. So I will go to my resources. I know assignment is not a resource, so I'll go back to activity, look for assignment. If I want to know what the assignment activity does, I click the information icon and it will tell me this is used to communicate tasks, collect work, provide grades and feedback. You can read the details at your free time. So I'll just go back and say, let me add my assignment. And then I'll probably ask, what's the assignment name? I'll probably say this is assignment 1. I'll probably say I am not very good with the medical terms, but I'll just say describe art. And if you have any files you want to attach, you can attach the files. And like shared before, there are very many settings, availability, when do you want the assignment to be available, submission types. Do you want them to upload a file? Do you want them to upload a file? Do you want them to provide you with online text? These are all number of uploaded files, maximum size. We don't want learners sending you 500 MB file. Okay, you could restrict the types of files you want by saying I want PDFs or PowerPoints. So all these settings, feedback types, all these settings, you can review them. Do you want to grade the assignment? If I want to grade the assignment, I'd say by point. This assignment is out of 10 points. Okay, there are quite many settings that are available that I cannot go through. Activity completion. Do you want someone for that activity to be completed? Do you want someone to achieve a particular mark? All right. Like I said, we can discuss more on this when you get into the practical bit. So I'll just save and return to course. Now I don't like where my assignment has gone. Remember, I shared, we can drag to wherever I want it to be. Okay. And remember, when you're done with your editing, you can say turn editing off. Okay. And that's how our course would look like. We have an image uploaded, we have a file uploaded, we have a chat room, we have a forum, introduce yourself, we have a folder, we have an assignment. Now, sometimes when you're using this platform, when you have the right privileges of a teacher, that's an editing teacher, someone that can make changes, you can choose to come and say, can I switch my role right now? A student, a learner cannot switch his role, but a facilitator or a teacher can switch their role to a student role to experience how a student, if you realize how a student would look at the course, all right? You could come and say, how does a chat room look like, all right? Click here to enter the chat room. Now I am learning, I am looking at this like a learner, where I can type and say, hi guys, send. This is how it would look like, all right? If I looked at, and remember, when you're navigating through Moodle, they are mostly, we normally use breadcrumbs. We discourage, and I repeat this, we discourage the idea of clicking back. Clicking back is always not good when you're running these systems that keep logging and you keep tracking where you are. We encourage that you use the breadcrumbs that you can see above here, or use the side menu on the left to scroll, and I can go to topic 4, I can go to topic 3, teaching resources. I could use that to navigate, all right? When we look at the assignment, we're looking at this all like a student. If you look at the top here, top right corner, you can see that it is Tony Oluka teaching, but with the role of student. I could look at and say, how does the assignment look like? And this is how the assignment looks like, okay? There's nothing to post here because one of the settings, it's not available. If I'd gone back and switched back my role, which I go back up here and say, return to my normal role, I could go to the assignments. Remember, turn editing on, very critical. Go back to my normal role, look for assignments, look at the settings, because my learners have told me we are unable to see the assignment, we can't upload. Oh, then I look at it and say, when is it available? Allow submissions when is it due? Do we have a cutoff date? Remind me to grade by. So we look at all those settings to ensure that they are all right, okay? Now, we have shared a couple of resources, a couple of activities. I have reserved quizzes for the second assignment, for the second webinar. I've reserved lessons because these need a bit of some time. And I'd wanted to first get you on board, understanding the resources, the activities, how to navigate, how to play around the platform. Just give you a bit of a touch. I could see a couple of participants had not used Moodle before. And so it was very important that they also get the feel. Remember, when you're done editing, you still turn editing off. Remember that when you're done with the platform, always remember to log out. Some of you will try to find out, where do I log out from? Now, with that practical session, I'm going to take us back to the AFREhealth Learning Management System for the next probably 7 minutes. And then I will welcome I'll welcome the questions. I hope Shardrack has picked some of them in the chat. So I am back to my AFREhealth system. And what I want to share with you is that it is the same, okay? It is the same as the platform I've just been looking at, only that for this time, we have our editing is in a different area. So I will go back to my dashboard. Like we said, that's the landing site. I'll go to the Makerere site. Most of you may not have, I will first turn editing off. That is how the course looks like, right? We have an overview here, which is mostly a lesson, which I'll share with you in the next session, how you group the material into just one topic, but everything put into one package. Because when you look at this course, you can see at the bottom here that there's one file uploaded, there are 3 pages, there's one feedback, there's a forum, there is a folder, and there's checking of progress. My progress is 1 out of 2. I think I've only done 1 of 2 of the things, okay? So what you're seeing here are the activities and modules that I'm sharing with you. Like a page is a resource. Questionnaire is an activity. Quiz is an activity. There are two files uploaded. There's one forum, there is a lesson, there's an assignment, and there's a folder. I believe all of us have seen those when we're dealing with the other platform, which is the same as this platform that we're using. So if I turned my editing on right here, I don't want to make very many changes. I don't want to make any changes on this particular forum, on this particular course, but I believe you'd understand that this is a PDF uploaded file. And if I need to make any changes to it now, I could come to edit settings. And I still have the same settings that we put up when the first time this resource was uploaded. I could say save and return to the course, or I could just say cancel. I can tell that this is just a label providing you with information, okay? And like I shared, you can always navigate your courses using the left-hand side of the section, normally known as navigation. So I could say, let me go back to the overview, or I could use the breadcrumbs and go back to the HIV, go back to the home page, basically the starting page of the course. If you look at this particular course that is for AFREhealth, I believe this is now very familiar with you. If you wanted to add an image here, you probably just say add activity or resource. They are practically the same. You will see assignment. There's nothing different from the AFREhealth, from the one that we're using for demonstration. So you can see there's a folder, there's a book, there's a label, and so on. So if you look at this course, there is nothing new apart from the issues that we have not addressed, or the resources and activities that we have not handled, like the quizzes, like the feedback, like the questionnaire that we used to collect data. Everything here should be everybody should be very familiar with what is available here. Okay, I am left with 3 minutes. So something I wanted to share too is that the available activities are not the only ones that are available. There are organizations that build new activities, that build new resources. For example, we've managed to integrate amongst the resources, amongst the activities, we've managed to integrate in the Zoom meeting because we have a licensed copy. So in some of your activities, you should be able to add an activity called Zoom. And remember, it will also come with its own settings. Probably what is the name of the meeting? Do you need them to register? Do you need them? All the settings will be attached to that particular activity that you will upload. Now, yes, the platform Moodle is a very, very extensive platform. It probably does everything you need to do when you're teaching. But just on a personal ground, there is an option. I know some of us may be looking at my picture, looking quite handsome, and they want to make an upload of their own in the Stripe course. You do this by editing your profile. Most of this material was provided by the team AFREhealth as they were starting the pilot schemes. Most of the changes, or most of the details of how you change your profile, make preferences, how you want to receive messages, all that material was provided. And so if I wanted to make changes, I'm just wrapping up in 1 minute, then I'll bring in Shardrack to ask if there are any questions that we need to address. If I want to make changes to my profile, all I do is click on the icon, on the arrow that points down, go to my profile, and then edit profile. When I edit profile, it gives me the same settings that they used to create my account. If I wanted to change my image, remember I said we can drag and drop, very easy tool to use, but also the longer route, which I normally encourage is, click in the box, browse for your file, because you will need a lot of this when it comes to other resources. Pick your image and then you upload the file. Remember, after making any of the changes, always remember to update your profile. Always remember to click save, okay? With that, I come to the end of the brief end of module of our fundamentals, introduction to Moodle 1. And like I shared in the beginning, it is very difficult to teach the entire Moodle within 60 minutes, but I believe that we've left with something that we've learned. So at this moment, I'll ask Shardrack to come in, and if there are any questions that need to be addressed, he could let me know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Tony, for this wonderful presentation and learning session. I believe members are not the way they were at the start, and we hope to see that from the poll. So the poll we shall be running at the end. We request you to be honest and respond with the actuals so that we are able to evaluate and maybe support further. So I've tried to respond on a few questions. However, if really any of us feels they have to comment and talk, you can just raise up your hand and we'll give you opportunity to raise that question or get a clarification. But among the questions that I've not handled is this LMS. It's from Didas Rutunji, who is asking whether we the facilitators will be expected to upload content, because he says it looks there is no content there. Yeah, maybe Tony, you can try to respond to that.
Thank you, Shardrack. In regards to content, one of the objectives, one of the way these webinars have been lined out is that we've been building from ICT skills using Zoom. This is basically a Moodle, learning Moodle. There is another course on how to facilitate the course, right? What I was just trying to put to your hands is the tools that are available to give you the knowledge, not just to go in and teach and facilitate without knowing this is a label, this is a forum, this is a discussion forum, this is a chat. That is the main objective. But the content will all be, after the pilot, all the content will be built together. But we don't want you to teach or to facilitate a course when you have no idea of what the label is, what a forum is, and what activities are. Then I've seen a question in regards to where can we practice. I am going to share my screen again for those that want to take some time and practice. Remember, there are different roles. If you want to be able to make changes in the practice environment, please remember to log in as teacher. They will give you, the sites will always give you the available credentials. I'm just sharing my screen right now for you to see those sites that I shared in the beginning. Okay, let me share my screen. Sharing the screen right now.
So as you share the screen, Tony, maybe there is also a concern whether some members who are already accessing the AFREhealth LMS are not able to switch roles from facilitators to students.
Okay, switching roles right now. Right now the role of what was. Sorry, I was muted. The particular role to switch role, the particular permission switch role and make changes were first given to the e-learning coordinators. We will share this with the organizers and the developers and see if they could add that particular permission of switching roles for you to be able to see what learners actually go through.
Okay, probably time is not on our side. Tony, you can just get in the chat and see maybe what we've not tried to respond to. But however, a lot of thanks from the team, and we believe the team has learned a lot. We hardly have a minute to end this, but I'm going to request we get some the AFREhealth Executive Director who is with us, Georgina, and then we'll get some remarks from Cheyenne from UCSF. All will take one minute, then we'll have our poll. And I remind you to register for the session on 29th. I'm sure all of us got it. And those who didn't get, the Secretariat will do their best to share that registration link. Thank you. Georgina, over to you.
Thank you very much, Shardrack, and well done, Tony.
Thank you.
Yes, I know this is just the introduction. That is what I want to say, so that people will really know that this is just the introduction, and you should attend Thursday's second TOT so that you'll be able to really grasp things very well. Yes, I know it is not that easy. As you said, looking at the time that was available, no, it was difficult for you to also take us through what you've done, but you've been able to do whatever you need to do within the time. Let's do well to attend the Thursday one. We've already shared the link. So if you haven't registered, please do so. We'll keep on reminding you so that you will register and then join. I know that we're really going to have a wonderful time using the LMS in this Stripe year 2. And remember that at the end of the Stripe project, the LMS will continue. So it's come to stay. So as you learn, it's possible you can become a trainer for others and for AFREhealth as well. So thank you all for participating in your numbers and then also your activeness in the questions and the clarifications that you've been seeking. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Georgina, for those great remarks and words of wisdom and hope for the LMS. At this point, I wish to invite Cheyenne. Over to you. Cheyenne, we can't hear you just in case you're speaking. Personally, I'm not able to hear you.
Thank you, Shardrack, and thank you, Tony. I think Georgina said it perfectly, and I don't have much to add except to express my gratitude and UCSF's gratitude for this webinar. And we're looking forward to Thursday to build off of the teaching that Tony did today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Cheyenne. Thank you, everyone, for appreciating. We can see the link there to evaluate the webinar. So please click the link and let's evaluate this webinar in the chat box. We complete it and then it will be submitted to AFREhealth. Don't forget to register for the 29th webinar. I'm sure many of us have got the registration link. Then we'll catch up there. Otherwise, thank you so much, and I wish us a great week. As we can see, the polls have ended, and we are able to see a great, wow. Do you have a better understanding of Moodle now? 95%. This is a great result. At the first point was 48. Yeah, we'll be able to share with us all these detailed results. Otherwise, I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you, and bye to everyone.
Bye-bye.